My name's Meg Edwards, and I thought today I would share with you what I've been up to the last hour. This morning I woke up and I went outside, and it's a glorious, glorious day in Maine. It's July, it's sunny, it's just a beautiful temperature, and I went outside to enjoy my garden. But that was not the experience that I had this morning. Instead, I just got kind of visually bombarded with all these kind of things that were pulling at my attention. There's a telephone pole in front of my house that has been there for quite some time, and they still haven't put it up, and I have some branches that need to be taken to the transfer station, and a blueberry bush wasn't blooming, and one hydrangea bush wasn't blooming, and all of a sudden I thought, it's time for a mind sweep. Now, I'm pretty good at collecting. I always have a capture tool with me, but periodically I find, sometimes every couple of months, every 6 months, I need to go do a personal mind sweep. And what that involves is I take out a pad of paper and I literally just walk my property inside and out. And today I decided that I just wanted to do the outside of my property. I think tomorrow I'm going to do the inside, and I do that by doing floor by floor. But today I thought, given the time constraints of my day, that I just wanted to do an outside mind sweep. Now, one of the things that David says at some point, particularly when you're setting up the GTD system, is to go ahead and do a full mind sweep, which you can certainly do, but you also can do it in chunks. And wanted to share how, if you wanted to do your mind sweep in chunks, you could do it. So I took a pad of paper and I walked my property outside. And the beauty of David uncovering the 5 phases of workflow is just because I collect it doesn't mean I have to jump to the 5th phase and do it. I've gotten really good at being able to say, you know what, I'm just going to collect it because it's not the place to have it, i.e. on my mind. I don't want to be pulled at these things visually. So I'm just going to capture them. Just to give you a little information, I am a single working mom. I obviously have a lot to do, as I'm sure you all do as well. And for a long time, I never wanted to collect anything because I was already overwhelmed to begin with and stressed. Why the heck would I want to collect anything more? Because therefore I'd have to do it all. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because that gets into the someday maybe list, which I think is the most underutilized category out there. I've gotten really good at doing strategic mind sweeps and putting most of it on the someday maybe if it warrants. So by the time I finished my mind sweep, which for me today included my garden, my front and backyard, my garage, and my car, for whatever reason, that's what I decided to collect. And I came up with almost 40 actions or 40 items that I collected. Now, sometimes with my mind sweep, I actually put the mind sweep in my inbox to process later, but because I had some time this morning, I thought that I would just go ahead and process it right then and there. Now, it's very easy for me to process a mind sweep because I have a trusted system to be able to process it into. So I'm assuming at this point that you already have your tool set up. You have a trusted calendar, a next actions list, a someday maybe list, and maybe a reference section, whether that's paper-based reference or electronic reference, like an Outlook, that's the notes section, Lotus Notes, that's the journal section, and so forth. Palm, that's the memo section. So when I was processing my mind sweep, it only took me about a half hour to go through each one of them and decide, do I have any projects here? Do I have any someday maybes? Is some of it just go into my checklists? I have a spring, summer, winter, fall checklist. And for example, every spring I look at my checklist, but for some reason I didn't have 2 things on it. One was to order wood, and the other one is I get sandstone to put on my walkway, and that wasn't on my checklist. So I added those 2 things to my checklist. I have some next actions to make some phone calls. And I actually did 2 actions during my mind sweep that took less than 2 minutes. One was to call a place about my air conditioning isn't working in my car, and the other one was to call about this telephone pole that's been sitting out there for a long time, which actually was the impetus for me to do my mind sweep this morning, because that pole's been out there for almost 9 months, and it hasn't bothered me at all. But today, for whatever reason, it bothered me. And I thought, you know what? I really either want this telephone to be put up or to be taken off. It's a real eyesore for me. So, I got to tell you, I feel really fabulous. An hour ago, I was really stressed. I wasn't a very happy camper because I had all this stuff pulling at me. But now I have collected about 40, items. I processed them out into outcomes and actions. A lot of them went onto a someday maybe list or to checklist. Or someday maybe. I actually have a someday maybe things that I want to fix. I have a someday maybe list for home projects. I have my checklist, as I just referred to, that for some reason, I added some more to them that I hadn't captured before, and that happens periodically. So, as always, I hope that this helps you a little bit to think that if at some point, if you haven't done one, I really recommend just taking a pad of paper, either with yourself or your partner, and walking the property and just going ahead and capturing what you want to. Some of it may be actions and projects. Some of it might be someday maybes. One of the things I captured is I'm ready to now look into coming up with a 10-year plan for my backyard. I've been in my house for 10 years and my front yard is pretty much all landscaped, but now I'm ready to work on the backyard. So that was really fun to capture that and to think about planning my backyard now. And there's some just low-hanging fruit things that I really want to kind of finish up this weekend. So I captured about 5 things that if the weather's nice this weekend, I'm going to do. So love this methodology because I'm telling you, years and years and years ago, I wouldn't have known that I could have in an hour gotten control back in my personal life when it came to the outside of my property.